in those days, they trod two very different paths. Eventually, though, those paths did cross, and by proxy of their then partners, these two became friends. Close friends, true friends in food and culture and music, and friends in travel. And time passed. And for reasons all too familiar, their individual lives grew dim. For the things that they held dear, the people that they relied upon, the realities that they had constructed, their very worlds slowly collapsed. And they each turned inward. Inward in loneliness and inward in pain. But as that gloaming, that dimming turned ever darker, they, as friends, did something extraordinary. Something extraordinary and defiant even, for they moved beyond friendship and they became allies. Allies against that darkness, allies for companionship, and later, allies in and for love. And time passed. And they spent that time with each other because the people they loved were not there for them. But they made food together. They watched endless Britcoms together. They told stories to each other. They shared their dreams. They sang songs, both ancient and modern. They kept smiling together. And sometimes they cried together too. But as allies, they fought together. And as allies, they won. And time passed. And then one day, St. Patrick's Day as it happened, something changed. One of them said to the other of their deepening relationship, "I want more of this. I want more of you." And the other said, "As do I." So they traveled to the seaside. They explored the coast. They enjoyed beer and oysters. And at some point, they both claim not to know exactly when, they fell in love. The following evening, they climbed a dune, and they watched the sun set into the sea, and they turned and watched the moon rise up over the mainland. A full moon, a moon full of promise and possibility. And there they stood, between land and sea, sun and moon, between struggle and redemption. A man and a woman, Heather and Stephen. There at that middle point, at the very fulcrum of nature in all of her perfect balance, as the sun set on what once was and the moon rose over what would be. They went back to their rented rooms and they slept, and the next morning they drove home. They held hands in the car, they quivered and quaked, they were excited, they were happy, they were scared. They thought that nothing in their worlds would ever be the same again. And they were correct, for they would no longer be living in two worlds, but sharing one. And time passed once again. They came home. They helped build a pub. They brewed beer for their village. They set up a home, and then a second, and then a third. Each time, a place of warmth and welcome. Always a safe and comfortable heaven for the two of them and Stephen's son, Duncan. And many creatures, both great and small. And as one creates a home, one longs to fill that home with life. And so they made a child together. A beautiful child there, named for three things: the spirits of their beloved forest, the moon that has watched over this saga, and their friend and benefactor, Emily, who's right over there. And eventually, they would come to buy their own home. In this market, no less. A grand feat in and of itself. Eventually, yeah. And they have their own wee forest with its own spirits right here. And so, finally, enough time has passed. We are here to witness and celebrate the hand fasting of Heather Elise Endicott and Stephen Michael Tristan Matisse. We are a gathering of their closest friends, the most important people in their life, their children, their parents, and their family from both blood and pub. I understand that shortly after that fateful St. Patrick's Day that the two of you exchanged rings that were precious to you. Heather, you have worn around your neck a Black Hills gold ring that belonged to Stephen's great-great-grandfather. And Stephen, you've worn about your neck a gold class ring that belonged to Heather's beloved grandmother. Where are those rings?
Duncan? I left them somewhere.
Oh, likely
Pawn shop.
underneath the candles.
Stephen,
Give a
He'll
small one to
choose.
Stephen, big one to me.
Stephen, will you please put Heather's grandmother's ring on her finger? And Heather, please put Stephen's great-great-grandfather's ring upon his. Pick one. Now, Heather has spun these threads of wool from the fleece of beasts that were raised and slaughtered to sustain this family. So if you would please put some hands together. I'm not going to make this uncomfortably hard.
Ow, ow.
Oh, just wait.
As these cords bind these hands, so too may these people be bound in happiness, in good fortune, and in love. I understand you have some vows to exchange.
You want to go first? Want me to go first?
Well, yours are written down.
Work it out.
Okay, I'll go first.
You need a hand.
Yes.
See, look at that teamwork, teamwork already.
It's a scroll. Wait a minute.
It is a scroll.
Stephen, you have been my steadfast companion and ally for more than 20 years. You are my dear friend, long before we ever dreamed our lives would change so much, and we would find ourselves here, making these promises in front of our loved ones. There is no one I trust more than you, no one I would rather face life's challenges with. You once named me Lady Patience, and while I can't claim to have always lived up to that moniker, I do hope that in the years before us, I can be that for you and for our family. Your Lady Patience, your wife and companion, through all the joys, fortune, and hardships the fates may put before us. I love you.
Well, mine, like you said, isn't as long, but Rebbe is this old, but we're a long way from Cleve Hill. A long time from Castle Ridge Stone Circle. But in all of that, every moment, every meal, every laugh we've shared, every tear we've dried, the joy we've had listening to our children laugh has justified my life. And my love will be there as long as I am and longer. It goes back a long way with the stones of Castle Ridge Circle. It'll be there as long too. Thank you for doing this. I love you.
And so, by the powers vested in me, I get to pronounce you husband and wife. Now is the time where you get to embarrass all of your dearest friends and family by making out in front of them. So, Heather, you may kiss your groom.